Today, I am going to present Exploring the Journey to Services. My name is Veronica Martinez, and I am a Senior Research Fellow at the Cambridge Service Alliance. First of all, let's start why service matters. Why is it important to have services? Well, services is becoming an essential part of our economies. If we talk about the US, the economy of the US around services is more than 70%. If we talk about the EU, services account for more than 75% of the total GDP. Interestingly enough, some emerging economies such as India and Turkey, their services account for more than 50% each. And even if we talk about the growing economies such as China, China just made a huge leap from 2007 to 2011. And the percentage of servitized manufacturing firms grown from 2% to 20%. In average, we have an 80% growth in services from China. We identify that services are an important strategy to go for many manufacturing companies. But the interesting thing here is that it is important to understand our service journey to better manage our services. It is not just to pilot and prototype as many services we can, but it's more interesting to understand what is our strategic service journey and how we can better manage our services. The service journey, also called the servitization, which is the strategic addition of services to products, is a form of business transformation, which calls for an organizational change. And we have different people talking about this. However, the transition to services requires a full understanding of the different approaches to manage this change. And this is a new strategic area for services. Unfortunately, very little research has been done in this area. Let me just explain you how change is portrayed in theory. So from the theoretical perspective, we have two dominant approaches, how we call it two dominant school of thoughts. The first one is the punctuated equilibrium, and the second one, it is called the continuous change model. Let's learn a little bit more about it to better understand how change happens in services, and particularly in industrial services. If we take the punctuated equilibrium model, the punctuated equilibrium model talks about that change happens in long periods of incremental change. However, these long periods of incremental change are interrupted by short periods of radical change, where things just happen and then they have to continue and adapt. The second school of thought, the continuous change model, talks about that change doesn't happen with addition of incremental and radical, but everything is a continuous change at different organizational levels. And as you can observe, we have different advocates of people who support the punctuated equilibrium and people who support the continuous change from the academic perspective. But let's see how this really happened in our environment, in industrial services. So let's put together the two theories to compete, and then after the analysis of our research, we can evaluate which of these wins and which of these loses. So how we did this? So very unlikely when you go to literature, there are very little research that talks about longitudinal research. So our research, we took 3 firms over 7 years of life, which is quite remarkable. So first of all, we select these 3 firms based on a similar maturity. Second, the technology, the role of how they use and accept the technology within their services. And it was quite similar. And finally, the context. And here we could take two cases which are mainstream, very much engineering-based organizations that they are servitizing, and we took a different context, a different organization with a different perspective of services, which was way ago from the engineering context. We interview people from board, presidents, vice presidents, managers, operators, customers, engineers who are facing the customers. In total, we have 52 interviews with them, and we shadow 50 people. Moreover, in order to carry on a longitudinal research, you have to do this analysis several times every year. And we also included 3 validation workshops with more than 20 firms, all from different perspectives, mainstream, which are heavy engineering companies, and also other type of firms which doesn't offer just industrial services, but offer professional services. We again, this validation workshop, senior managers came, senior from directors, managers, and above. In total, we have 50 participants within the 3 validation workshops. Let me just show you what happened. This is the result of the first stage of the 3 comparison of the 3 different kind of organizations. So some of you might already been acquainted with this. What we investigate is we took GEA, we took Zoetis, and we took Pearson. Yeah. So what the results tell us here? Basically, this is the path, or this is the journey of GEA. If we identify, GEA has strong emphasis, first of all, in putting a vision within the organization that service is important, because service is the next competitive advantage that will lead us to the global leadership in the next 10 years. What we identify is that most of the emphasis of Zoetis has been placed in the vision, has been placed in the co-evolutionary development of products and services with the closest members of the ecosystems, and a strong emphasis in the service operating model, service delivery model. But if we compare this with GEA, before we move there, so you identify some numbers next to the steps that Zoetis took. So these are the subsequent analysis of the steps that people took. Just identify they don't run in sequence, but they run in a different kind of order. Bear with me with that. If we take GEA has a different type of path. So if we can identify, GEA has less steps. The main point of departure for GEA is establish service as the corporate strategy, and then expand the vision, then identify the resources that are needed and the leadership, and subsequently focus in the service operating model, such as design the service strategy and service selling strategy. The approach to change, which was more incremental for GEA. If you see, there are less steps that GEA takes in the journey in the beginning of the first 4 years. So everything that I am presenting here is at the beginning of the 4 years of the journey of these organizations. Now let's look and compare those steps with the Pearson steps. If we identify, Pearson has a different pattern here. Pearson starts with a different point of departure, which is creating this burning platform. Why do they create the burning platform? Well, for people to capture the attention of people. People were talking that the printed books are coming to an end, but even though that people keep talking about this, they needed a strategic and cultural check. What they did is to take services and establish services as the burning platform for continuous sustainability in the organization. If we identify, most of the effort from Pearson has been in creating this burning platform, allocating the resources and leadership, and then finally to the review of people. If you can see, less emphasis has been putting on the exploitation and exploration of different models, very little emphasis has put in the change of rules, and there is no one single operating model established by the organization. What it means that different teams went and create their own operating model, but there was not the recognized Pearson model. What we learned from these three journeys, these initial 4 years of these three journeys? We identified that some of them, they have similar steps and however, yet different journeys. The three of them, they, in addition of, if we add all of them, they have made a good sense. Once that we present this to them, they were surprised and they said, well, I think that we were missing these key things. And they identified and some of them corrected. The interesting thing is that there was no single path by trying to do a cross-case comparison between the three. There is no one single part. Every single journey was messy and unstructured. Many people describe the journey as anorganic because they started from different approaches and they have different approach for each one of the steps. And there was no logic. In many of the occasions, we identified that our interviewees showed that they were seeing that this journey was more than a trial and error rather than a planned and well executed strategy. The learning patterns that we identify is that even though that they were carrying on launching different services in each one of the firms, they vaguely inform each other. And there has this big and heavy tendency of not documenting any lessons on the successes and failures. And these were not communicated. So it was no surprise for us to hear some of these quotes. One of them said, now I can see why it didn't work the first time around. It took so much time. Or I can clearly see the steps where to go. It is simple, but before we didn't have this clarity. So I think that these first 4 years of research shows that organizations generally at that moment in time, almost 7 years ago, they didn't have any guidelines and they were operating very organically. There was not too much planning on their steps, on how to move, and there was no clear direction. And the leadership happens by many of the times by surprise rather than as a planned activity. So let's see what happened. So if we come back, one of the key things that we identify in our research is that let's see how change happens in services. We have the preliminary punctuated equilibrium and we have the continuous change. After we analyzed all the data from the three organizations plus the workshops with all these people, in total it was more than 100 people who participated in this research. We identified that services occurs in a continuous change model. So what happened is that services will started to infiltrate in the organization at different organizational levels. It means that there is a continuous change in the organization. And change happens incrementally and very carefully. But let's move on. This is what happened as a continuous change. But what happened in the first 4 years? We identified that in the first 4 years, these organizations and all the organizations that participated in the workshops chose a tendency. And this is the tendency. Most of these organizations go and implement and develop services around spares, repairs, upgrades, installations, refurbishment. So what is happening in this? Basically, some of the explanation that we got is that these organizations happen to start with the basic services because they wanted to play a low risk strategy. They want to increase the capacity utilization of existing skills. They don't want to increase the development of or the acquisition of more sophisticated skills in services. And then they want to see the return on investment. However, they are all aware in these 4 years that these basic services are very much replicable by their competitors. Therefore, let's see what happened after the 4th year of our journey in these organizations. What we observe is that after the 4th journey, the intermediate services come across. So there are two streams. The first one is the intermediate services. And what happened here? So organizations start launching, piloting, prototyping, piloting, and launching more intermediate services. Intermediate services like installations, repairs, preventive maintenance, proactive maintenance, advisory services, consultancies, where they are expanding a little bit more, still utilizing their skills and capabilities based on the product, but they are extending the relationship with the customer over a longer term. Remember that we mentioned that the 4th year is critical for any kind of service journey that we identify. We also identify that in parallel that organizations start to introduce intermediate services, still elaborating in their own skills based on the products. They start launching, prototyping, and launching very few complex services, such as renting, leasing, paying by result, pay by use, which is quite interesting. So if we go back to theory says how change happen. Our research shows that change happen in a continuous manner. Secondly, research said there is a big movement in research showing about the coexistence of different services. Our research shows that after the 4th year is critical for many organizations, as they know by this time they have already tested what a basic service look like, tested the success of a service and the income and the continued revenue of a service. And this is where they wanted to be more exploratory by nature and either go intermediate services or intermediate and complex services in their portfolio. Henry Chesbrough says, the coexistence of different services are important to the development of organizations. However, the most important thing is to identify when this coexistence is going to happen. And we know from all research that start to happen after the 4 years. However, here it is important to start knowing when the shift to services is important and how you are going to manage the resources towards the later as well as for the future. And this is a delicate balance between how do you manage the portfolio of your services after the 4th year. In the Cambridge Service Alliance, we have developed some tools and we have people who has helped us in a team to develop some tools that help you how to manage the service. Until this moment, we know that our research shows that there is an incremental change in the development of services. We know that the coexistence of different types of services occur after the 4th year. And we know that each one of the organizations, even though that they follow a similar steps, the sequence of these steps make the journey very different. If you want to know more about our research and how to manage the portfolio of your services, you can log in into our website. You can download our podcast or you can download our reports about how to better manage services in the critical area that we're living. Thank you.